What's going on, everyone? Happy Sunday to everyone. Hopefully, everyone is doing well, staying safe, healthy. If you had to take a COVID test, hopefully you have tested negative. If you did test positive, I hope you have a full and speedy recovery with no long COVID issues. It is time now for the Sunday edition of the Pandemic Update for Sunday, May 26th, 2024. If you're new to my channel, this is where we do the daily Pandemic Update on all things COVID and anything else that could be a health threat to you. Let's face it, there are a lot of viruses out there, and you need to be informed on what's going on with COVID, the other viruses, and yes, climate change as well, because heat-related illnesses and other illnesses that can form off of climate change and our changing weather patterns can impact your health. So if you're new, subscribe down below. Give this video a thumbs up. Let's be ambitious today. Let's try for 125 like button hits today. Of course, share this with anyone you know, and leave your comments down below. Relatively slow news day today, so we're just going to take a look at two pieces. One, which is a repeat from the other day. Then we're going to take a look at a reminder on something that COVID can do. Then we'll take a look at heat-related illnesses, air quality, pollen levels, all that stuff. And, of course, we are going to talk about climate as well. Then we are going to do our wastewater bonanza with a little bit of other data prior to that. So, starting off here, just to kind of rebriefing something that we talked about the other day. That's Los Angeles. California overall is starting to see a rise for COVID once again. Not a big rise, but there is definitely a noticeable rise. And LA now reports an average of 73 cases. Daily average deaths is 0.3, so they're not seeing many deaths right now. That's a good thing. Daily average COVID positive hospitalizations is now at 113. A sad note to pass along to you today. For anyone who's a fan of PGA Tour golf, that would be me. I'm a fan, and I'm sure maybe I have a couple of the fans that follow. I don't know. But PGA Tour golfer Grayson Murray dies. He was just 30 years old. Just 24 hours after withdrawing from this week's event in Texas due to illness. It doesn't state what the illness was, but he did have some past events that have occurred. Back in 2022, he did have a serious scooter crash in Bermuda, and back in 2020, PGA Tour pro Grayson Murray says he had tested positive for COVID-19. So who knows? We've been seeing a lot of sudden illness deaths lately. Some of them we're finding out have been linked to heart attacks. We don't know what his is yet. When we do find out what caused his illness, I will, or when I find out what caused his illness, I will pass it along to you. Right now, I'm not seeing anything. All right, I wanted to give you a reminder today of one of the things that COVID can do. COVID, of course, as we all know, can go on to cause long-term illness. It can cause long COVID, plenty of different issues. And long COVID can impact any portion of the body, from the lungs to the heart, even just moving your hands around or walking. But it can also cause something else. It can cause problems with your brain. And we're not going to take a look at any study in particular. We're just going to go to this archives on my website, datareport.info, and we're going to take a look at one of the archive sections. And that is COVID's effect on the brain. Let's just read a few of these. COVID linked to lower IQ shows up in People magazine, so we know it can impact the IQ. Study says COVID infection may accelerate dementia progression. Well, that's not good. And then you can come down here and see this. Study links COVID with lower oxygen levels in the brain. Get the idea here? COVID can really cause a lot of problems in the brain. Severe COVID-19 linked with brain aging. How do you prevent this from happening? How do you prevent yourself from having these problems with COVID? You start off with not getting COVID at all. Wear a mask. Do you want to keep yourself safe from these issues? Do you want to avoid these issues? Do you not want to have these issues? Avoid getting infected with COVID in the first place, and you won't have this happen, at least not from COVID. COVID won't cause it to happen unless you get a positive case of COVID. Okay? So try and avoid COVID as much as possible, and you will avoid these issues. We'll do some more reminders of COVID. Maybe again tomorrow we'll talk about a different way COVID can impact your body. All right, drum roll please. Let's refresh the national allergy map. And we do see something on this map. In the lower 48, I can happily report that today there is no red on the map, meaning levels are not high. However, there's a lot of places that are in the medium. Much of the Northeast, much of the plains, parts of the Great Lakes, at least in Ohio, Michigan, and Indiana. Chicago, you're not doing too bad today. And down in the South, not terrible. And the Southwest U.S. is not terrible. The Pacific Northwest does have some orange days. So there are some areas where you should be mindful of the pollen levels. But again, it's not seeing a lot of red. What we are seeing red on is this, air quality values. Slightly better than yesterday in Texas, but overall it is still very concerning. Anywhere in these reds, once again, a mask. It's kind of something you should be doing because you don't want to be breathing in those bad air quality values down in Texas. Taking a look here in Arkansas and Tennessee, there's a lot of oranges today. There's some yellows even continuing up I-95 and I-85 right up into the Northeast. Look at this. Yellows and even some oranges and some brighter oranges near red starting to show up in the New York City metro area, North Jersey. Yes, air qualities, they're not so great today. Even Pittsburgh, look at that. I'm seeing one just northeast of Pittsburgh, 109. That's not a good air quality value. Ohio continues. The plains continue to have it. Let's see what's going on in California today. Hopefully it will come up for us, and we're going to see much of the same. California is pretty much, here it is, much the same. It's the usual hotspots. Maybe a little bit better today, but San Bernardino, just southeast of Santa Barbara, you're having some air quality issues today. But again, much of the east, bad air qualities. Something else that's bad, and I think we're going to see this map fill in more. This is the heat-related illnesses. Got to keep an eye on southern Texas. Why? Well, let's go to this now. There are excessive heat warnings up for much of southern Texas. The heat index values could get up to 118 degrees. And why am I being so excited about that? Because, folks, it is only May 26th. We have June, July, August, and nowadays September is warm as well. So, 118 degrees, and we haven't even entered June yet. That is really serious. That's just the heat index. The actual temperature, though, could get up to or just over 100 degrees. So if you live in those areas, please drink plenty of water. Limit your time outside. This is from National Weather Service in Corpus Christi, Texas. And check on your elders. Make sure you have air conditioning or at least a fan or some sort of ventilation because it is going to be very hot in those areas. And heat-related illnesses such as dehydration, heat exhaustion, heat stroke are all going to be possible in those areas. Something else we have to keep you informed about. Severe thunderstorms. There's a threat of them. They're already ongoing in portions of Tennessee, Kentucky, and Ohio. And there's going to be multiple rounds of severe storms out there. We have recently seen a number of deaths from severe thunderstorms. Yes, that's a threat to you as well. We can see there's this large enhanced risk. There is a 10% hatched area for tornadoes. However, there is some modeling that suggests the tornado threat could be much greater than this, and there could be the threat of some long-track significant tornadoes in Tennessee and Kentucky today. So keep that in mind. There's also wind and hail threat damage. And then tomorrow, take a look at this. There's a big severe weather threat from the Gulf Coast region of Alabama right on up into Pennsylvania and New Jersey, which again, tornado threat, wind threat, hail threat, all possible for tomorrow. Want to learn more about climate? I will be tweeting at some point today on my climate data report. I know I haven't been doing it lately. Today I plan to tweet some stuff out on that account. All right, moving on now. EMS calls for Saturday in Philadelphia were 869 EMS incidents. Taking a look what's going on currently, not terribly busy in Montgomery County, and we have been seeing some sick calls today in Chester County, just one right now. Earlier there were 3 at a time. Also seeing heart problems and respiratory difficulty. All right, let's take a look at some wastewater. This is the CDC wastewater surveillance page, and I have to show you this map because there have been some changes. So if you're new to my channel, maybe you've never seen this map before, let me explain what the various different colors mean. Not listed in the code on the right. The color code on the right is these gray sites. That's sites that are not updating. White are new sites, and that could mean several different things. Either it's a new site, or it's a site that hasn't been on in a while. Sometimes, once in a while, we see sites that haven't been on in a while that magically reappear as white. Then you get to this dark blue. That's 0 to 19%. That is COVID and wastewater. All these sites are COVID and wastewater, but that's really low levels. There's 593 sites that are at really low levels, but that number's starting to drop. We don't like to see that number drop. We like to see that number rise, and it dropped by 16%. Why would we want to see it rise? Well, the more it rises, the more we know that there's either no COVID or very low levels of COVID being detected. Then we come down here to this next color, which is 20 to 39% COVID detected. That's dropping as well. That's 467 sites. That's still low. And then moderate, we're in the moderate range at 40 to 59%. Light blue, 155 sites in that category. And that increased by 19%. Orange sites, 60 to 79%. That's moderate to high. And that's 30 sites. And that increased by 7%. Again, that previous one was at 155, and this one's at 30. And then red sites, that's the highest level, 80 to 100% COVID detected. There are 6 sites, and that is now up, it says, by 200%. So let's just take a look at this map, and you can see there are still a lot of blue sites here, but just going around, we can see, like in Utah, for example, we do see that there is now a red site where, hey, COVID is rising. We also do see another red site in California as well. We see an orange site in California. So we can see here, there are definitely some places where COVID is starting to rise. And we do note, take a look at this, up in New England now. This is new. This is brand new. Cumberland County, Maine is now red. Wow. This is one of the smaller sites there, but hey, it's rising. And wow, that's actually relatively concerning to see that site rise, because I know people that have placed there. Okay, taking a look at New York, Niagara, 31,032 population at this site. Niagara, New York is starting to rise again. And interestingly enough, I don't know if it's this particular site. One of the Niagara, New York sites constantly is like one of the last ones to drop from being red. And look at this, already it's gone red again. That's concerning. Erie County, New York, 142,478 population. That's in the orange at this time. Let's continue on here. We're going to go to wastewater scan in just a moment, but let's just continue on here. Let's just randomly go around. Hope I say this correctly. Tazewell County, Virginia, you're in the orange now. Is it Tazewell or Tazewell? I think it's Tazewell. That is going up at this point. Apologies. I always constantly get locations incorrectly. Let's do our weekly look at Chicago area and Cook County, Chicago. Look at this. Illinois, Cook County. Again, it's starting to rise this week, and we can see here it is at a lighter shade of blue now. Should this continue, orange would pop up soon. Here's another big wastewater site here, not rising as much. Let's go over to Lake County, Indiana, and we can see here 28,000 population was rising somewhat, still is. And how about now we go over to the other CDC page, and then we'll go to wastewater scan. So this shows the average wastewater from all the sites within a state. And you're seeing various different colors. We have very high, high, moderate, low, minimal, or insufficient data. And what you do see now is Maine has gone into the high category. So out of 23 sites, it's enough to push Maine into the high category. Moderate in New Hampshire now, low in Vermont. Look at this. Florida has now entered moderate. And we do have high in Wyoming, almost borderline, very high in Wyoming. We also have high levels now in Utah, moderate levels in Nevada, moderate levels in Montana, moderate levels in Minnesota, back to moderate levels in Alaska as well. And look at this, very high levels in Hawaii. And Hawaii, for several different metrics, has been rising as of lately. I believe if we go back to Walgreens, did they report on Walgreens? Let's see here. No, there's no report on Walgreens. I wanted to show you if they're rising on Walgreens, but obviously I cannot do that. But yeah, interestingly enough, Hawaii is rapidly rising right now, and each new variant, it impacts a local region differently. Like, for example, you would expect that New Jersey would jump from minimal to at least moderate to high within the next week or two. Why am I saying that? Well, New Jersey is a very big summer place at the coastline. It's called the New Jersey Shore. It is absolutely packed with people. If I was to pull up a camera of the Jersey Shore right now, and there's a lot of them down there, you would see it's just absolutely packed with people down there right now. All right, let's continue on now to wastewater scan. Let's take a look at a few wastewater sites. Yesterday, we left you off with Las Vegas. Today, how about we come down here to what is going on? How about we go to Carmel, Indiana? Haven't looked at that in a while, have we? And we can see here, they are in the medium status for COVID at this time. And you can see it is shown on this map. It's dropping ever so slightly. RSV, not much of an issue with that at this time. Influenza A, not many issues. Influenza B, not many issues. Slow rise now is starting to form for HMPV and medium status for norovirus. Mpox, no issues at this time. And hepatitis A, just a few detections at this time. All right, let's continue. How about we go out a little bit down to the south now? Let's see what's going on in Alabama. I'm curious to see what's going on there. And we'll go to Village Creek, which is in Birmingham, Alabama metro area. And we can see here for COVID, there is a slight rise. It's in the medium stage at this time. RSV is low, influenza A, influenza B low, and HMPV, it's flattened out after a little bit of a rise, and norovirus after a rise is now starting to drop. It says high. It's probably in the moderate to high category. No Mpox detections, and not much in the way of issues with hepatitis A. Let's make our way a little bit further to the west, just a little bit. How about southwest? Let's see what is going on down in New Orleans at this time. And in New Orleans, let's go to the eastern site here. We do see that at this time, COVID is medium, but it's flat. It's not rising yet. RSV, influenza A, influenza B, not seeing any issues. HMPV did have a slight rise, not terrible just yet. Norovirus is moderate. It says high, but it's really probably moderate and dropping at this time. No Mpox issues, and just a few detections of hepatitis A at this time. Continuing our way back off to the northwest a little bit, let's take a look at what's going on in Amarillo. You may recall there was the rise for influenza A in this area. COVID is not rising. RSV, just a slight rise. Influenza A is not rising at this wastewater site. Influenza B is flat. HMPV, a slight rise, and moderate for norovirus at this time. No Mpox, and just some hepatitis A detections at this time. It's the other wastewater site that did have that rise for influenza A. We want to take a look at what's going on with that, and take a look here. We can see that it has now dropped, and it has flattened itself out, so that's good to see. Influenza B, not much of any issues. Same with RSV, and COVID is really low at this time. That's good to see. HMPV, not too many issues. Norovirus is relatively flat at this time, ever so slight rise, and it may be entering the medium stages. Mpox, no issues. Hepatitis A, no issues at this time. Now let's go out to the West Coast and see what's going on there. And in the West Coast, we'll take a look at Los Angeles. We'll go to like central LA. Remember, we just talked about LA at the beginning of this video. We can see here, medium status for COVID, not really rising all that much. RSV is not rising. Influenza A, influenza B, HMPV is dropping as well. Norovirus, a slight rise at this time. Mpox, not many issues. And hepatitis A, just a few detections of that at this time. Now I want to go back to the CDC page for just a moment, and let's zoom into what's going on in Oregon and up in Washington. And we can see in Washington, we do have an orange site here, and we do also, I believe, yes, Pierce and King County, Seattle area, is starting to see a rise at this time. Let's go a little bit further north. Just, yep, not terribly concerning, but again, some sites are starting to see a rise. Thruston is seeing a rise, and over in Oregon, what's going on? Lane County is dropping at this time. Another Lane County, that's dropping. Marion is dropping at this time. Here's Clark, 120,000 population. Oh, look at this. Yeah, this is a decent-sized wastewater site. And, wow, you're really starting to see a rise at this time. Hood River. Have we ever clicked on Hood River? I don't ever recall saying that. Look at this. It is starting to see a rise at this time. Alrighty, folks. That does it for the Sunday edition of the Pandemic Update. I know it's not a terribly busy news day, but I hope you've learned something. We talked about extreme temperatures. We talked about a reminder with COVID in the brain. Of course, we talked about Grayson Murray's death, and a whole bunch of wastewater sites. We'll have another pandemic update again tomorrow. If you like this, give it a thumbs up. Want to see more content like this? Subscribe down below. Share this with anyone you know. Leave your comments down below. And of course, just have a fantastic Sunday evening or Sunday afternoon. If you're spending it with family, do so safely. Make sure you test beforehand, all that stuff. And I will see you all again tomorrow. Until I see you again tomorrow, stay safe, everyone, and have a fantastic Sunday afternoon. Thanks for watching.